From graduations to tougher job markets, people are leaning back into in-person events and networking this year. But we have some tech tips to help you expand your network. CNET senior editor Nick Wolny is here to help us. First of all, Nick, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I love this idea of the business card going digital.
Yeah.
It makes life so much easier.
Yeah. And
how does this work?
The weird thing is that digital business cards have actually been around for years, but they rely on a QR code.
Right.
And QR codes were kind of funky there for a while. Then the pandemic came along and all of a sudden you were using a QR code at the restaurant in order to look at the menu. You were looking at a QR code, using a QR code in order to fill out your intake form at the doctor's office. QR codes have become a lot more normalized, and so now when you're at an event, if you're using one of these apps, one of these digital business cards, you can say, hey, Jamie, I'd love to keep in touch. You just show that QR code, they scan it, and you can control what information you have on there.
It makes it so simple.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that it used to be funky. Because, I mean, you'd pull it out and people would be like, what do I do with that? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And now you can't go anywhere without seeing them.
And so this technology had been around for a while, but I think also as people are returning to in-person events, people are going to in-person events much more than they were in the past few years. And just kind of getting used to networking and being able to send that information along to people along the way.
Well, so then I want to know, though, what is the digital networking etiquette? Because I know when they were the paper cards that everybody had, you know, you'd kind of like, hi, let me give you my card. You know, I don't know. I always felt weird, like pulling it out of my purse, doing whatever. So what is it? What's the etiquette now that it's digital?
So once you've exchanged information with someone, it becomes more of a follow-up game. And so we've got kind of some hot tips that'll help you with that.
Okay.
One is that you want to send a follow-up email, and you want to be specific about this. You want to include in the details of that email how you met and perhaps a little bit about what you talked about. Jamie, it was so great to see you on Tuesday at KCAL when we were talking about tech networking tips. Looking forward to more. That can be the whole email, and what that does is it jogs everyone's memory when you follow up later, or you're just letting your network know about what you're up to.
Like, oh yeah,
it's
I remember
a great way to just
him.
lay some groundwork, rather than being like, oh, who is this again?
Oh, interesting.
So that's something that I think is good to keep in mind. You want to add value.
Okay.
You know, people are busy.
How do we do that?
You want to think about, okay, what might be taking up someone's time or someone's energy, and how can I proactively get ahead of that? How can I make it really easy for people to connect with me? If you're difficult to connect with and network with, people aren't going to be networking with you. Right.
Well, so how do you make it easier to connect with people? Because I do feel sometimes that with all of this digital technology and social media and email, I'm sometimes just a little overwhelmed. And I'm hard to connect to sometimes. So how do I make it easier?
I think one of the best things to consider is actually setting up an appointment scheduling tool. So some sort of a software tool. It could be a free software tool, something like that. Calendly is a great option. Acuity, Schedule Once. These are tools that you will integrate with your calendar, and then you can send along a link to someone. Perhaps you're setting up a Zoom coffee date or something fun like that. And rather than saying, I don't know if you've ever had that, Jamie, where you go back and forth 10 or 15 emails to determine on a time for lunch. Oh, I can't do 7:30 anymore. Can we do 8:30? Things like that.
You know, my poor financial planner wants to murder me right now. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And so when you set that up, what's nice is that you can just send that link along and say, here's my calendar. Choose the time that works best for you. And then they can actually just see all those times. You've probably interacted with a tool like this before, perhaps when setting up an appointment for someone else. It's a freemium app. Most of these became freemium apps, or they added a free tier in the pandemic.
Interesting.
Because all of a sudden, I mean, Calendly's user base alone went up like 1,000% in 2020. It's because everyone was suddenly at home and they had to connect digitally. So most of these tools do have a free tier where you can set up an appointment, you can integrate it with your calendar, and then you can say, Jamie, let's catch up over coffee soon over Zoom. And you can just send them all of your availability. They pick what works, and you go from there.
That's amazing. I'm so technologically challenged that all of this is blowing my mind. I'm sure those of you who are tech savvy know a little bit more about this. But that's great.
Well, and I think also, you know, one more tip to consider specifically about networking. It's not a tech tip, but if you'll oblige me, is to get the other person's information. Right. So you can take that great digital business card and you can show it to people all you want. But if you are, perhaps you're a new grad, perhaps you are navigating this challenging job market that we have right now. Take it upon yourself to actually go that extra step, get the other person's information, or you know, at least a social media connect, or you know, a phone number, something like that, an email address, so that you can initiate that networking effort over time. That's going to help you with options in the future.
Excellent information. Nick, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And you can find more information about CNET by going to kcalnews.com, clicking Seen on TV.